Hi again, everybody. This video is sponsored by contribution from Teresa, and here's her story. Hi, Ollie. Wanted to drop you a line and say thanks for your videos. The big eye-opener videos of yours, the big eye-opener videos of yours for me have been your replaying comments on recordings. Man, I wish I could find some I had. But I left in a hurry over a year ago and left most of my belongings in his house. Never been back. And that's not a good thing, obviously. I listen to your videos and several other folks on YouTube, and it kind of works like this. I find myself breathing a little sigh of relief, forgiving myself slightly for being stuck there for so long. I mean, I was screamed at like a drill sergeant and alternatively treated, well, or should I say, alternatively sucked back in, alternatively strung along with crumbs. But anyway, I still tell myself what a dumbass I was for being there 18 years for what? To be abused. So anyway, regarding the one video you mentioned, the guy sounds like a crazy woman because that's how he was raised. That one hit home. And I feel like if you have any more info on that, I would love to hear it. I wish I could lock him up with a guy bigger than he was and have him get screamed at for days and nights like he was doing to me. I was still in a state of shock from it all the time. It wasn't just the screaming, the super loud volume. It was the vicious things he said and came up with, and how he twisted everything around and drug up things from the past and threatened me with them. Decided he hated my son and spent the last 5 or so years screaming at me about my son. I used to give him about 20 melatonin and ice cream to make him go to sleep to avoid the screaming. The only way I made it out alive was to leave town with a friend and go to another state for a while. Anyway, thanks again, Teresa. Wow. Ooh, you're asking me to play with a ticking time bomb here. But I'm sure that story did ring bells with you and a few other women. And what I meant by he was raised by a single woman, I am not saying that all single women cause this type of male. I am not saying that at all. You have a much better chance to have a stable adult child with a mother and father in the house, obviously. But obviously that can't always happen. So that's why it's important after divorce that the father stay involved. And whether it's a son or a daughter, it's their lives. Because what this guy you're talking about experienced, and all he learned was one perspective from a crazy woman. So as he's a child and this is how she's acting towards him and towards other people, he's learning how she conflicts resolves. He's learning how she gets her way. She's learning how she obtains things. She's learning how she interacts with other people. And with no counterbalance to that, what are you going to have? You are going to have an adult narcissistic female in a male's body. With all the thinking patterns of a narcissistic female, but the testosterone and the strength of a man. I'm sure that a lot of light bulbs just went off in a lot of you ladies' heads. The need to bicker and fight, the need to constantly have the last word. That is a female tactic, a narcissistic female tactic, even more so, of arguing. Bill Burr is a stand-up comic, and he has a great routine on this whole situation. How men fight, with logic, but women argue differently. Women argue in two different ways. If they're right and they know you're wrong, they'll stay on point, and they'll stay on that point, and they'll stay focused until you apologize, and the guy will eventually apologize. But when a woman is wrong, they're arguing for maximum annoyance, distance and maximum annoyance. Constantly getting the last word in order to spark, and this is his bit, to eventually get you to call him a cunt, and then you've lost the fight anyway, and you're like, oh, you didn't have to do. Narcissistic tactic. I'm not saying all single mothers do this. I'm not saying all women argue about this, but all you ladies have dealt with enough women in your personal lives, in your work lives. Most of you come in like, yeah, you're right. I hate women. You're absolutely right. Whereas, the stereotypical dad is kind of there, for to argue it out logically, and you get two sides of a coin where a male is supposed to be learning from his father, interpersonal skills, reasoning skills, conflict resolution, primarily. Not that they don't get some of that from their mothers as well. But it's impossible. I mean, it's really hard for a single woman to be a mother and a father, just like it's hard for a single male to be a mother and a father as well. Understandably, situations don't work out like that. There's going to be divorce. There's going to be situations of single parenthood. But typically, these type of men come from women, divorced single women, who have been ringing their exes, their ex-husbands through the court system, who are lying and manipulating. If you're going to end up with a guy of a mother who's done that to the father and being told your father ain't shit, you don't need your father around, and they learn all their interpersonal skills from a woman like that, they are going to end up an adult woman in a male's body who argues and conflict resolves the same way. Perhaps even worse, because they're in a male body with male testosterone. It's funny though, the one thing that you did say, that you would like to put him in a room with a guy bigger than him to be yelled at. Let me tell you what would happen there. He would sit there quietly. Why? Because he has the understanding to know, okay, if a guy is in his face and as a guy to another guy, that he can have his teeth knocked out. He won't say anything if he can't defend himself physically. That's why those type of men are even more dangerous, because they'll primarily pick on women or people they view as physically weaker than them. The woman like that doesn't give a fuck normally. I'm talking about the narcissistic woman. The one who will get in the guy's face, no matter how big they are, keep pushing. Not saying every woman acts like this. What I'm saying is, if you're with somebody who was raised by someone like this is the end result you're going to get, because that's how he's going to learn, because that's the only parental figure they have in their life to learn from on how to get conflict resolved, on how to argue and bicker and go back and forth. Never to just to say, let's agree to disagree. Always having to have the last word until it just turns into a full-on shit show, or they get their way and you finally just say, fine, you're right, just to shut them up. So that's what I meant by a man being raised by a single narcissistic mother. Who else do they have to learn from? Because a single narcissistic mother, they're gonna learn all the conflict. They're gonna learn about conflict and be told that their father ain't shit, and we know the story there. Or you're going to have a merry-go-round of men coming through the house, usually abusive, no stability, one loser after the next. So who do these men have to learn from? That. And that's what you're experiencing from this type of male. And that's why that video rang so many bells in your head. So, not saying it's all women or even all single mothers. We'll leave it at narcissistic single mothers. This is the type of male they produce. And when you think about it, you have to agree, that's just nothing more than a woman in a man's body. Holy shit. And that's why the light bulb goes off when I said that the first time. And I've said that multiple times with a lot of women. Holy shit, that's it. I am dating a female, or I'm married to a woman in a man's body. That's the issue. So thank you for your contribution. Thank you for your question. I appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions you have in the comment section below. And again, if you have a topic you'd like me to cover, you want your story read on the channel, or a narcissist you'd like to expose, you know what to do with the PayPal and my email links in the description box. I'll have the video right back to you. This is Ollie Matthews. Thanks for watching. See you all again soon. Bye.